Welcome to the latest Wax Ecstatic Pack Break. I'm your host, Matt Sammon, and we've got an interesting pack break this week because, as you can see, it's not just one pack. It's 3 packs, and it's spread out over 3 consecutive years. And after spending quite a bit of time in our last podcast a couple of weeks ago talking about the fervor of rookie card fanaticism, which really got rolling in 1983, we're fast forwarding it 8 to 10 years later, quite literally 8, 9, 10 years later, to 1991, 92, and 1993 as Bowman, after kind of stumbling out of the gate with a reintroduction in 1989 and not really finding itself in 1990. I don't know how planned it was, but took advantage of some really hot rookies in 1991, notably Chipper Jones, but also Ivan Rodriguez, Jeff Bagwell, among others, and went from a pretty standard base set operation into a very glossy base set, much like everybody else did in 1992, but in this time taking on the mantle of the rookie card set. By 1993, the Bowman set, even though it is proudly proclaiming it's been around since 1948, which is true. Of course, Topps killed it off and then brought him back in 1989. While they tried to throw it back and make it look like more of a heritage-based set, and you can even see with the Bowman word mark and even the graphics here, it's kind of old-fashioned. But they were really taking a giant step forward as they were knee-deep, not just in rookie cards, but as it would turn out, prospects, the players that you wouldn't see in the major leagues for probably 4 or 5 years, as opposed to a rookie card, which was normally based on somebody who had, at the very least, a cup of coffee the year before and was pretty likely to be in the major leagues that season of press. Now, something else we'll discuss about the Bowman set. Bowman was also very revolutionary starting in 1991 by being released a little later than other base sets. And you have to remember, base sets were normally released in mid to late February of every year. Well, Bowman, starting in 91, held off until, if I recall correctly, April, early to mid-April, so it kind of coincided with the start of the regular season. But what this afforded the Topps company to do under the Bowman brand was get photographs of players in spring training, players who were traded during the offseason, or maybe a team wearing new uniforms. The best example in 1991, the Padres ditching the brown and gold, which of course now is back in vogue, but going with the orange and blue and silver look. So if you open up a pack of 91 Bowman, you will see the new Padres studs, which is something you don't see in the other 1991 packs, with the exception perhaps of Stadium Club. And of course, Stadium Club was released later on in the year. But with Bowman releasing a base set later on in the year, that was something that was completely different in 1991. They would continue to do it. And even to this day, Bowman is released much later than the standard Topps base set. In fact, it was released earlier in the month of May to raving reviews. So raving, it actually crashed the Topps website. All right. Let's get right to it. Let's open up 1991 Bowman. This is one of those sets that collectors are coming back around to, again, notably because of Chipper and Bagwell and Rodriguez, some of the key rookies. But I think some people are starting to realize some of the great design aspects of 91 Bowman. One of the design aspects that was not good was the gum. And as you can see, thankfully for me, it's on Lenny Harris. And no offense to Lenny Harris, he's played far more games in the major leagues than I have, but this 29-year-old piece of gum firmly attached to the card and leaving a lovely bubblegum stain right there. So hopefully it didn't bleed through to the other cards. But let's split it down the middle here. Talk about big rookies. Tim Howard. Look, a gold foil MVP. It's got to be worth something. Now, this is the downside of playing the rookie and prospect game, is you're assuming that the players that you herald as big rookies, even if Tim Howard was an MVP, in fact, he was the Player of the Year in the South Atlantic League in 1990. As we all know, Tim Howard didn't exactly live up to expectations. But meanwhile, you've got a rather humble-looking Pat Henkin here. And Pat Henkin, of course, while his major league career was not extremely long, he was one of the better pitchers for not only the Toronto Blue Jays, but in the major leagues in the early to mid-1990s. And we've got the veteran card, Sean Dunston having some fun here. The rather stern, dour-looking Darrell Akerfields of the Phillies. Now, even though, and as we look at the picture of Dickie Thon as well, even though you had, the Phillies changed their word mark in 92. I'm sorry. This was the last year of this particular design. So disregard what I was about to say. Todd Richie of the Twins. Another ace here. Bobby Thigpen on his way to setting a then record 51 saves in the season, I believe it was, with the White Sox. But again, to my point here, and you can't really see it too well, but this is the black and White Sox look, which the Sox adopted in the final couple weeks of the 1990 season. Carlos Baerga. We have Dave Staten. That was another rookie guess. Mr. Cal Daniels here with the Dodgers. Nice veteran card here of Roger Clemens. Another veteran in Tommy Hare. Steve Farr looking pretty far out. And Lenny Harris, who again has the gum-stained back. Now, I do want to point out one thing here real quickly. One thing that I loved about the Bowman cards was their choice of stats on the backs of cards. I know some people, in fact, a lot of people disagree with me on this. But I love how, and I'll get it nice and close here to the camera, I love how they did the old-fashioned splits. And nowadays, you couldn't fit this on a baseball card because of interleague play. And all the games against teams from the other division, or the other league, I should say, you can't really jam in that information. But here's Roger Clemens' splits, and breaking down every statistic against every team that he faced. So you have his totals for the 1990 season, his career totals, but then you can break it down team by team. So let me see real quickly, how many strikeouts, which team did he strike out the most here? Let's see, SO 20. So twice he struck out a team 28 times, the Athletics and the Indians. I thought this was, and this is something that goes back to the 1989 Bowman, I thought this was very ahead of its time. Again, a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I thought it was a very unique. And as we would get knee-deep into advanced statistics later on over the years, I thought it was a very forward-thinking way of putting together statistics. All right, let's open up the jumbo pack of 1992 Bowman. And you've got some real dandies in 92. Including the cellophane, which I had to damn near rip my teeth out to open up. All right. So now you've got the glossy 1992 Bowman cards, and as we've discussed numerous times before, such a big step up with the UV coating, the thicker cardstock, the great photography, even though this Bobby Witt card has been through the motions. You still have the splits by stats here, full color photo on the back. This is design-wise what really put Bowman moving forward, and I thought rather nicely. So here's Bobby Witt here, the Texas Rangers. We've got Randy Myers, stuck to him. Brian Taylor, talk about missed career opportunities. Clifton Garrett, so this is again one of those prospect cards, and one of the unique things about 92 Bowman was featuring players in relaxed settings like this. Of course, the Mariano Rivera card, the best example. Let me flip this over here. In my best Harry Carey voice, Brett Barbecue of the Montreal Expos. We've got Kirk McCaskill going, what the hell? Let's see. Oh, look at this. Barry Bonds. Great action shot there of Barry Bonds, mid-swing. Nice back. That's a beaut. Scott Taylor of the Red Sox. We've got Todd Zeal, which would have been not a prospect card, but a sought-after card back then. Mr. B.J. Surhoff, utility guy, of course, but a guy that you could count on certainly as a catcher. Scott Erickson, coming off of his incredible 1991 season with the Black Sox that everybody made a big deal of. Tracy Sanders, going with the Arsenio Hall shirt from 1991. Good look. All right, now you had the gold foil packs in each, or gold foil cards, I should say, in each pack. Unfortunately, the gold foil and the UV coating would cause some issues with sticking. But we have Chris Roberts and Rick Green here, Team USA from the 1992 Olympics. The veteran, Jimmy Gantner. We've got Mike Gardella. The Rock, Tim Raines. David Justice, this would have been a big hit back in 92. Likewise, Wilson Alvarez here. Let's not forget Bill Sampion in the middle. Mikey McFarland with the Kansas City Royals. Pedro Estacio with the Dodgers. And the late, great Kirby Puckett. A little ding there in the upper corner. But great card there. Look at that. So that was one of the downsides, too, of the 92 Bowman, is that sometimes the cards, despite the higher quality card stock, tended to get dinged up a little easier than they should have. Last but not least, let's dig into 1993 here. Nice design. Cal Eldred. Boy, we were just talking about Cal Eldred, weren't we? So guess what? We're going to talk more about Cal Eldred in this podcast. Cal Eldred with the Brewers here. Very simple design. And I thought Bowman really got down to clean, simple designs in the early 90s. James Baldwin looking extremely worried here. Here's a guy, another one of those players who just had, kind of like Pat Henkin, had like 2 or 3 really good years and then just fell off the face of the earth. All right, turn these upside down here. Tom Urbani. That is a great Vin Scully name right there. Tom Urbani. Tom Urbani from Santa Cruz. Once played the piano with his tongue. I don't know. Jason Beret. This would have been another big young player hit card from back then. Greg Blosser. Hardly knew her. Danny Clyburn. Wait a minute. Didn't we have Danny Clyburn before somewhere? Maybe, I don't know. All right. Mike Farmer. I'm a little concerned about the pitcher not exactly looking at the plate where the ball's going, so that's a little league no-no. Tim Pugh, as they would say on SportsCenter. Player of the Year. All right, this is our big foil card here. Steve Gibralter. So we have Rock Raines and Steve Gibralter. Your 1992 Midwest League Player of the Year for Cedar Rapids. Well, God bless him. Steve Farr, again. Butch Husky. Boy, talk about other great players who just missed the mark. Mike Devereaux. Bill Hasselman. And Ed Sprague, World Series hero for the Blue Jays in 1992. So, no huge knockdown incredible cards here, but a great assortment of cards looking back at the incredible debut 1991 here, or not debut, I should say, the changing of the Bowman cards from kind of this, I don't want to say afterthought, but this misfired, return card in 1989. 1991 was a nice solid start for the revitalization of Bowman. I guess it's the best way I can put it. 1992 clearly much better with gold foil inserts and other neat little bells and whistles. And then we look at 1993, and you've got a nice clean look as well. Your Cedar Rapids Player of the Year here, and a whole lot of other fun stuff here. So we're going to look at a pretty fun series of sets, 91, 92, 93 Bowman, how the Bowman brand changed after, again, that kind of misfiring when it came back in 1989, and how it's still going strong today. So that's coming up in our next podcast, which will be coming your way this Friday. Make sure you join us here May 22nd, noon Eastern. It'll come your way on Audio Boom, as well as all of our platforms, including Apple Podcasts. And we'll talk a little more about these fun sets and the fun chase of prospect cards in our next podcast. I'm your host, Matt Sammon. Thanks again, and enjoy your Lenny Harris stained Bowman bubblegum. Yummy.